your God power. Get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin.
This explanation is continued from the prior segment. For best results, watch the prior segment, number 21, first.
If you hate red cars, you will see them everywhere. However, if you ignore them, eventually you will no longer see or experience them. For example, criminals can only rob those who worry most about it or think most about it. That is because they are the only ones that catch their attention. And if there weren't criminals in the world, police wouldn't have a job. It all makes sense in the big picture, the higher consciousness, because everything in the universe is in a symbiotic relationship, in that each gives something to the other. The perfect perspective is to say that it is someone else's creation and their business, not mine. However, if you talk about it, listen to it on the news, and are upset that it exists, then you are resonating with it and inviting it in a compelling way into your world. If you are a cop, by all means invite it. Otherwise, I recommend that you just ignore that it even exists at all. Also, don't talk about cancer, sickness, or death if you don't want it in your world. Just ignore it. If someone can't wait to tell you about someone who is dying in the hospital of cancer or just got run over by the bus, simply tell them, "I'm sorry, but I would rather not talk about that kind of thing, nor do I even want to think about it. Let's talk about something else more pleasant." Not only will that kind of conversation fade from your experience, so will all other aspects of poor health and the like. Remember, we each make our own world. What you watch and entertain will have no influence or power in what is in my world. And frankly, it's none of my business how you create your world. I'm just explaining how you go about tailoring the perfect world that you want. Don't stare at accident scenes. I know that gory accidents have an attention-grabbing quality that is hard to resist, but resist you must. When I'm coming up on an accident scene, I go so far as to look in the opposite direction and notice the shopping center and what's there, or look through my CD collection to pick out the next CD to avoid seeing it. Interestingly enough, since I have been doing this, the number of accidents that I've come across has dropped to almost zero. I haven't seen one in years. So either the number of accidents has dropped off to near zero, or they just don't show up in my world anymore. I heard a story that is supposed to be true. A famous high diver, I think it was in the Olympics, hit his head on the diving board or edge of the pool, I don't remember. But what I do remember is that when the news people offered to show him the video of the incident, he refused to see it. He said that he didn't want to have the image of that in his mind. And all I can say is, well done. Well done. To see it causes a resonating quality with the event and circumstance. While it might not actually cause the exact event to happen again, it could be the cause of some crisis in confidence or poor performance or some other undesired result. He knew the world-creating fundamentals well. Do not think of or observe what you don't want to invite into your world and your life experience. Number 4, choose your media exposures by their content as it relates to your new world. This means not only avoid those types of shows, movies, and magazines that are a bad influence in your world, but do watch and look for movies, shows, books, and magazines that do contribute to your perfect world. Let me clarify right now. When I say a perfect world, I mean one that encompasses everything that you want and is blissfully unaware of the rest. A perfect world for you may be a world of no sickness and global peace. However, a perfect world for a doctor may be a world in great need of his services, and to a policeman, a world run amok where he can save the day, day after day. In short, perfection is a very personal matter, and it is as personal as your own reality because it is your reality. For me, I have no use for daily soap operas where the characters are always scheming, dying of some horrible disease or wrought with unpleasant surprises, especially on Fridays when the nature of the shocking revelation won't be discovered until Monday when the show continues. Additionally, I'm not fond of the news. I find that it has nothing to offer. I don't need to know that a woman and her kids just burned to death this morning, nor do I need to know that in some state across the country a pileup on the expressway killed 10 people. The fact that a man was shot at gunpoint in a botched bank robbery will only serve to heighten my discomfort every time I enter a bank to conduct my business. There may have been 5 people who got killed today and 50 who got robbed, etc., but there were billions of other people who got up, went to work, came back safely, and had a wonderful day. That's the world that I want to be tuned into and be aware of. Remember, your mind is a very powerful thing. When you have an image in your mind with an emotional response, it causes a resonant quality that begins to attract and light up more of that thing in your experience. Next thing you know, you hear from a friend that they saw a robbery, and it just builds and builds like a snowball. If you have never had that image or heard the bad news in the first place, your day would have been quite pleasant. I'm going to show you that you have very little control of the images in your mind. When you watch a news broadcast, they are actually forcing images into your mind, and there is little that you can do about it if you watch those kinds of shows. I'm going to show you how powerfully an image can be placed in your mind, even if you try to resist. I'm going to show you a word that describes an item. When you read the word, I want you to try your best not to picture the item in your mind. Let's see if you can do it. Basketball. Did a picture of a basketball come into your mind? What if I begin to describe it? You know what it looks like, right? A big orange ball with black stripes going around it, which is thrown through a hoop with a net under it. Have you been able to keep the image of it from your thoughts? I didn't think so. You see, when the news says crime, murder, accident, disaster, these things bring pictures to your mind and are actually programming you to become aware of them through the power of resonance. I have personally stopped watching the news for years, and ever since I stopped worrying about things as much as I had before. My world is much more relaxed and working perfectly, don't you know? If there is something that I really need to know that pertains to something that I am doing or working on, I will naturally find out about it through resonance, through other channels that I'm in touch with. Now that I've covered that topic as much as it needs, let's go on to things to watch. When you select a movie or TV show to watch, consider the theme and plot. Is it a person who succeeds in the end or gets killed? Does he or she find love and happiness or divorce and misery? If you are a divorce attorney, a good divorce movie may be just the ticket. Is it a movie that depicts the government as sneaky and not trustworthy, or always looking out for the little guy? Is it a disaster movie or a crime movie, or a guy who dies of cancer in the end kind of movie? What about a horror slasher movie, or a supernatural monsters who live under your bed? Only you know in your heart what kind of movie depicts the kind of world you are creating for yourself, and which ones do not. It is not my place to say what is good for you and what is not. Just remember, after the show is over, what are you noticing in your world that matches what you would like to see, and what do you now think about and notice that you would rather not? It is all up to you. It is your world and your reality. Okay, number 5. If you happen to act or think inappropriately, or notice something that you shouldn't have, or fail to ignore something that you didn't want in your world, that's okay. It's an easy fix. Just use your God power to change it. No matter what has happened, it hasn't happened until it has a meaning, and you can quickly alter its meaning and change it from a bad thing to a good thing, even after it has already happened. Suppose that you have just told someone off and acted in a way that you are not proud of and exhibited the kind of behavior that you would rather not invite into your world. That's an easy one. First, let's explore how you might think of it to start with, and then we can see the dramatic difference when you change the meaning of what just happened. At first, you might think, 1, I just messed up and acted the wrong way. 2, this is going to cause these kinds of people to show up in my experience. And 3, I'm not very good at this, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to do this as well as I need to. However, this is the way you will really do it. You simply rethink it and adjust the meaning of what just happened to where it ends up being a benefit to you. Just think to yourself something like this. 1, everything that I am experiencing is in some way leading to my perfect life experience. In some way, this is serving me and making me better. Number 2, after all, I just noticed my action and I am now correcting it. Number 3, so in the big picture, this incident has helped me recognize that I am actually improving, and this proves it. Number 4, well done. Very well done. That is a huge difference in meaning. I would say that this change in meaning would neutralize the negative effects of the entire incident because nothing bad has happened. You are improving. This proved it, and it's a great thing.
To continue, go to How to Use Your God Power, chapter number 12, segment number 23. Let your quest for knowing continue.